Hi guys, welcome to the second part of the 20th Century Fox tutorial. We continue with the creation of the lighting system. First of all, in this project, we have two types of lights. One, static type, and one, that will be animated, with an oscillatory movement. Okay. Let's start with the static light. We already know that this is the model for the insert of the hour light. Insert a light in our scene. Select type, spot. Modify in the coordinates panel the rotation P, with the value 90 degrees. We make a render. As we can see, there is no visible light. To make visible the light in the general panel, we set visible light on visible. Now there is in our scene, but we must change the position. As we already know, this light has a cone shape. We can change the shape of the light through the menu type, setting it on spot, parallel. And in the details panel, modify the outer radius from 100 to 13. As we can see, the result is definitely more suited to our cylindrical support. Perfect. Add an ambient light to illuminate our scene better. Okay, the result is very good. In the details panel, there aren't important parameters for this type of project. For example, the fall-off value, don't need, but if we go in the visibility panel, you can modify some very interesting parameters. For example, we can lengthen the beam of light. If we disable the parameter use, fall-off creates an effect similar to a laser tube. If we decrease the value of fall-off, we get on the final part of light a more blurred effect. Of course, you can change the color as you like. In this case, we will use a light blue light. The latest important parameters to consider are those that will allow us to have greater brightness at the beginning. I show you how. The parameters brightness, on the visibility panel. In this project, the value to be set is, from 120 to 150, for a good result. And the parameter, photometric intensity. In photometric panel, with a value, from 1250 to 1500. In this specific case, to better see the effect, stretch the cylinder of light to 1000, and modify the parameters to obtain the final result that we like. This setting is very important. You need to get this fabulous effect. When the camera is perpendicular to the beam of light, you have the sensation of being totally overwhelmed and invested from the intensity of light. Great! Proceed with the second type of spotlight of our project. As I said, the first type of spotlight is static. While the second type of spotlight, it has some characteristics similar to the first setting, but you have to consider that the cylindrical spotlight is attached in a hierarchical system of layers to create a pivot. And it will be animated with the oscillatory movement. Activate the visibility. Even in this case, the conical shape of the spotlight on the system is ridiculous. Must necessarily be modified with a cylindrical shape to be more similar to the original video. I also added a sphere with a small thickness and the luminance, white, to simulate the glass where light is projected. Okay, if we set the same settings as the first light, we get an incredible result. Really cool. We can make the edges of light blurred, changing the value of edge fall off. But in this case, the light intensity is too high with this change. Finally, the hierarchical system of layers allows you to create the animation of oscillation of light, when it is grouped into one null object, spot control. Obviously, it is important that the pivot is positioned perfectly in the center of the disc base. Only in this way, we can smoothly oscillate the spotlight with the light. Of course, all the other lights of our project have the animation of oscillation. For the animation of the lights is not necessary, a global scheme precisely. But I will show you how some important details, not to be overlooked for the success of this animation. As we can see, I created two layers groups, one with only the supports of spotlight, and one with only the lights. In this way, during the final rendering, it is easier and faster to disable what we do not need. Of course, the lights have the same parameters of oscillation of the supports. During the start of the scene, some details are very important. Around the frames 20-27 this lateral spotlight, it is important that it be directed towards the camera. The intensity of light is also supported by the central spotlight that is under the logo. Between frames 85-90, this spotlight, which is located behind the logo, passes in front of the camera display, with a movement from bottom to top. Finally, in frame 328, as in the original video, you need to view the last spotlight which distributes the light, with a slight movement from right to left. Let's make a rendering, and view the result. As we can see, I applied on all the lights a light blue color, while the one located under the logo has orange-yellow color. Great! Now I show you the elements that I used to create the background. But first, let's save our file with the suffix day 2. To create the background of the city and mountains, we have to consider very large extension, in order to obtain a very realistic effect during the camera movement. With this view, we realize the proportions. Disable the grid, to better see our entire scene. To achieve this, I added gradually the buildings, and the mountains. I also placed the monument text Hollywood, in the mountains most similar to the original video. This is the full extension of the city. I used the model's low poly of low-rise buildings, to increase the size file. Since our background elements, and with a very dark light, the detail is not needed in this case. For the mountains, I put 3 tool object terrain. I changed the size and the correct position to fit them perfectly to the scene. Instead, to duplicate and place the buildings of the city, about a group of 4 different models, I used the cloner tool. It is very simple. This step is very important that the materials applied to the buildings give a sense of evening light. On all elements, the predominant color is dark gray. It is very important to create a texture that simulates the lights from the windows. Once cloned, this beautiful scenery is generated automatically. The text of Hollywood seems to leaning on the mountains. These are the 3 terrain objects that I used to create the profile of the mountains. You can place the text in any way you like. I forgot, I have colored lights of the windows using the white and some shades of gray. Now we proceed by inserting the sky. As you have already imagined, you need to create a very large base. Where to put the map of the sky? To create this map, I used Photoshop, using special custom brushes, and applying this specific sequence of colors, I also added small points to simulate the stars. It is a very large map, and has been specially created having as reference the colors of the original video. I show you this file, where we have the same animated sequence of the camera. The sky map has been applied on a plane, where it was applied, an arc deformation, using the blend tool. I'll show you better. For the type of camera animation, in this case, it is better to use a cylindrical disposition of the sky, rather than spherical. As we can see, this type of technique is perfect for creating linear horizons. At the end of the sequence, to give a more authentic feel of the sky, I also added a small interpolation of animation in the plane, with a rotation from 0 to -3 degrees. Let's see how it works in our scene, along with all other elements. These are the three elements that create the background of the scene. They can be grouped into a single object, with a name BG. Wow! Is simply great, the result is very cool. View the result. The impact is very real, but we can achieve more during compositing. These reflections on the letters T and H are the result of the central light of the spotlight, but when we elaborate all the elements in After Effects, will be corrected this small defect. Now proceed by inserting the materials on our logo. To create the material granite, I used Photoshop, and I got 4 different shades of color: brown, yellow, pink and finally dark brown. These maps are projected onto a plane. The work of map application requires a bit of time and patience. But I guarantee you that the final result, even rough, is awesome. As I said, have been included only the textures created in Photoshop, in the color panel. These maps are also included on the bases of the spotlights. This is the end result with also the metallic materials, gold for the logo, copper for spotlights, and bronze for the central spotlight. These materials are the shaders of Cinema 4D library. I used these because they have a very specific feature, creating the effect on metal surfaces, but without reflection. In this project is very important that all objects where the material is applied to metal type, does not reflect the surrounding environment. The gold material is composed of these settings. Diffuse, 3 specular panels, with shades of colors of gold, but what is very important, is a setting of environment colors, because they create on all the chrome reflections on the surface. The roughness is similar to the bump. We can also disable. To get the color of copper and bronze, I used the gold material. I duplicated and modified with the correct colors. The choice of materials in this project is very particular. You will understand these my choices when we will proceed with the work on After Effects. We make a render. This is the result with global illumination and ambient occlusion active. The result is very lighted, but very natural. This is the bronze spotlight. To improve the results of our scene, we create a set of ambient lights. I show you in detail how it was created and positioned. This type of work can be done with different methods and techniques. This is the system of ambient light. It is composed of 7 lights. The light at the bottom right projects its beam to illuminate this area slightly. The light at the bottom left illuminates the outer monument. This small omni light creates a small diffuse light, illuminating the inside part on the left below the logo. The left inside light illuminates the top monument, creating interesting shadows. The light of frontal area type creates very light illumination on the front monument, to simulate the first sunrise light. The light at the top right, light blue, illuminates the bottom monument. Finally we have a yellow light, to create the shadows inside, in front part of the logo. This light is very important and strategic. You'll understand better after. OK, activate camera view, rename the sky object with the suffix gi, and temporarily disable it. In the Render Settings panel, temporarily disable the global illumination and ambient occlusion. Please note that we will make more render, with and without the use of global illumination. We see the result. Incredible! The ambient lighting system creates the right impact of lighting with this sky. Obviously the metal shaders do not work with the lighting or the global illumination. But we can correct this problem in post-production in After Effects. So we must plan and organize, in its own file, a process of video rendering to activate and disable what you need quickly. Because all the elements will be extracted in order to have full control on After Effects. Okay, I will show you a technique to get more intensity from the 3 spotlights, at the beginning of the animation, simulating the glare intensity, as that generated by lens flare. During the first part of the animation, I created the parameters of the interpolation of the spotlight, to make the lights more intense. Follow on video the values. You can modify them as you like, but the start keyframe value must always be very high. We make a render. Very cool. Perfect. To improve the final result of the logo, I created another material gold type. These are the parameters. On color, I added a noise texture, I put it also on reflection. Finally, in the specular panel, width to 62, and height to 245. To apply this material, I duplicated the set ambient light. I added a light below the logo to create a shadow. I'll show you the result. You will understand this step while working on After Effects. These are the videos that need for compositing. The files marked in red are the masks of the various elements. The first video is the sky. The second video is the city's skyline and mountains. The third video are palm trees, and have a very dark color, with alpha channel. The fourth video is a rendering of the logo with a simple white material. This file will be very useful. The fifth video is the logo with the first gold material. The sixth video is the base of the monument with the ambient light. The seventh video is the logo with the second gold material. The two videos with the lights of the spotlights. The video with only the monument spotlights. Finally, the video with white discs of the lights. Inside the folder you will also find the audio file. Open After Effects and analyze in detail the project. The compositing of this project is very simple, because most of the rendered video, in Cinema 4D, have all the features ready to be edited. The first layer is the sky. To get the soft effect, I applied a blur with opacity to 10. The next layer is the city with the mountains, with the mask applied on it. Inside, was created a halo that simulates the sun behind the mountains. Using an orange color, with a box blur with value 29. I applied a glow to emphasize the lights of the windows. Finally, with directional blur to 33, and box blur to 99, I created a halo of the city skyline. This is the result. Insert a layer of palm trees, with a mask. Proceed with the layer of the base of the monument with the ambient light. This base need to customize the video with your logo. Insert the video of the logo with a second gold material, and apply the mask. To improve the brightness and color, I duplicated the layer of the video, I put it in overlay mode, and I applied the effects, auto levels, and tritone, with black color, in the midtones. On the video mask, after applying the linear color key to make the background transparent, I put the fill with black color. This step need to adjust the brightness, during the first part of the animation. To improve the impact of the logo, from frame 350 to 410, I used the video of the logo with a white material, in overlay mode and opacity to 33. We see the result. Proceed with the video of the lights of the spotlights. Inside, I overlap the various layers, to get the right intensity. These videos do not have the alpha channel, because overlapped in add mode, are transparent. Insert the text of the slogan of the video. The font used is a Times Bold, with active caps button. These are the parameters of the RGB color. To soften the light of the spotlights, I put the video with white discs, and I applied a glow. Using the same concept, I put an adjustment layer, where I applied a very light glow. You can set the intensity, through the opacity. I used a soft glow of tinderbox. Most importantly, the layer with white discs, and the layer of light spotlights, must be in add mode. Finally, to adjust light and shadows on the logo during the first part of the animation, I duplicated a copy of the logo with white material. We put, in overlay mode. This is a scheme of animation. We complete the animation with a black solid layer, which ends with a fade out, our animation, from frame 462. Insert the audio file and proceed with final rendering. This is the result of our animation. Wow! Cool! I remind you the next appointment for the realization of the DreamWorks animation. I hope this tutorial has been to your liking. By Antonio Seri, of crrntn.com. Cheers.